high-up bike in a kind of white sharkskin suit. And contemporaries of Peter Fraser, guys like John Rickford, who in fact brought out a book called Festival of Guyanese Words, they will speak about this teacher at Queen's College, Yango. So even though I haven't had the privilege of meeting him personally, I think this book is definitely a way of touching Yango's spirit. And I was asked to respond, instinctively to this book. And as he said in the introduction, this book is like a cook-up. It's like a cook-up rice. It's a book you can kind of dip into here and there at random and get a wealth of Guyanese heritage. So I want to respond in a similar way and make a few random remarks about this book. But in fact, C.A. Jansen joins that league and heritage of Caribbean people who are in love with the language. I'm talking about people like Frank Collymore from Barbados, J.D. Elder from Trinidad, A.J.C. Moore from Guyana, Louise Bennett from Jamaica. People who might not be linguists academically, but simply in love with the language, and at times take notes and keep these words for posterity. So this book is like a scrapbook, a kind of a showcase, a kind of a window of glimpses of our culture. And how I respond to this book, let's begin with childhood, because we start with that. And Yango takes us back into certain little words, like a baller. When you're flying kite on the seawall, you got your baller, and you're balling up the kite, and you're playing jumin, right? And I used to say, you get the bump on the lemonade stump. Right? I noticed Yango get the soda bump on the lemonade stump. But we used to say simply get the bump on the lemonade stump. And then you're talking about clammy cherry, clammy cherry. When you're making your kite at Easter and you're pasting up your kite with your Barbados kite paper. I noticed Eileen Rogers got Barbados family. Right? And you're talking about things like a cat boil. I give you a pen, you take it back and I take it back from you, you will get a cat boil. Right? Catch a coop. Now these whole expressions reflect our childhood, right? Bat and ball, and these different things. And a little word I can't avoid. That thing took me back years. A little word like kung si. You see, when your mother tell you, make sure you kung si. And I know that his daughter and his wife will forgive me because he didn't mention a certain thing. But the nice thing about this book is that it begins to release your subconscious and open out the gates of memory. And the moment I heard about kung si, my wicked imagination took me back to don't forget your soti, right? And don't forget Lolo, and don't forget powder cake. This is part of our culture. I was so amused one day, standing there in England and watching an English choreographer discussing folk dancing of all types, and said to a group of dancers, let's have the patty cake, thank you. And I found it so amusing. Now, so childhood, with all its naughtiness, with all its mischief, it's there. Then you look upon food. We have a wonderful Guyanese word, peculiar to Guyanese people, hongish. A rich word. You're really hongish, or hongishness. And then I was discussing with Joan Green's twin brother. He was saying the best part of the cook-up rice is the bun. At the bottom of the pot, the bun. And you're too scrivenerous. I mean, the language is rich, and licorice. And what's interesting about a word like licorice, it goes back to the archaic English, lustful, but it also has that meaning of gluttonous. You're too licorice. And when people speak about Creole and not realizing the power of the West African influence, West African syntax upon the English vocabulary, as if we're talking bad English. And if I were to put down on paper something like left the bun for Bombay, but first wipe the boo from your eye. You put that on a piece of paper and let an Englishman look at that, left the bun for Bombay, but first wipe the boo from your eye. And then you realize this is a very, very rich language. An interesting thing Yango said in the introduction, many expressions which we felt were Creolese were in fact legitimate English. I find that fascinating because a word we all used as children growing up in Guyana was the word cog. Stop cogging from me. You're a big cogger. And when I went to Ireland and I bought a book called How the Irish Speak English, I was simply amazed that they used the word to cog, because cog is a legitimate word, an ancient unknown game, and to cog was to cheat. You're cogging from me. And of course a word like skulk, you mustn't skulk from school. And this goes via the Scandinavian, and you've got the Norwegian word skulka, to lurk. And check out your English dictionary. To skulk means to shirk responsibility. And plenty teachers, even Guyanese teachers, in a child's essay might question the word skulk. Is this child using a Guyanese word and talking in inverted commas bad English, when skulk is in fact genuine, authentic Old English? Then you've got a word like done. You know, I used to think this is very Creolese, very Guyanese. Somebody said, oh man, you done him for a few cents. And the word to done, you know, it's the Old English, to press for payment. So what is rich about the Guyanese culture is that our language, our Creole, has valid connections to Old English, to Middle Irish, to Scandinavian origins, and Elizabethan English like Shakespearean, and a lot of things which the English so-called standard has lost, but which the Irish have retained. It still exists in our Guyanese speech. Let's move from those connections with Middle English and with English and so on. We pass through childhood, we pass through food. Let us look at something, what happens when we come to the Caribbean, from the Caribbean rather, to England. And you can see how words used in exactly the same way, but in a different context, has different meanings. Nowadays, Guyanese, if you go into Tesco and Safeway and you point to aubergine and you say you want a boulanger, you're in trouble. You point to chickpeas and you say you want chana, you're in trouble. You point to ladies' fingers and you say you want okra, you're in trouble. My own wife, Grace, when we go shopping in Safeway, you see some nice mangoes. You tell the man or the woman how the mango is going.